Shake, Rattle, and Troll, a show for the serious fishermen, as well as the novice looking for tips from the pros. Shake, Rattle, and Troll is brought to you by Bill Luke Dodge Chrysler Jeep. Now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman and tournament pro, Don McDowell.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm Don McDowell. Welcome to Shake, Rattle, and Troll this morning. We are going tuna fishing. All righty, in the house with me today is the new president of the ADA, known as the voice of conservation, moderation,
and reason.
And reason?
Yes.
That's not on my list, my friend.
Good morning, Don.
Okay, president of the ADA, Special K, known as John J. Colazar. And Mac Patrick's over here.
Yeah, I just went black. I don't know.
Yeah, he just went black. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Fade to black.
By the way, I love the new look on you today.
That is not a mullet. We're just going to move right along.
For those who don't know, 5 minutes before a show, your brother decided to show me one of your progeny, Diamond Dallas Page.
Oh, man. Yeah, get down.
That's your son on steroids. There is no question in my mind. I love that moulet look that he has.
Yeah, talk about going back in time like yesterday. All right, here's what we're going to do today. The yellowtail and the bluefin off the left coast, out of San Diego, H&M Landing, John, are absolutely just blowing up. And we're going to talk about that. In the past few weeks, we've talked about fishing with candy bars.
Yep.
And fishing the slide, fishing some swim baits. We're going to talk about fishing with feathers today on the troll. And as we go through, we're going to kind of talk about reel applications, line applications with the appropriate rods, and just give you a little lesson in the bluefin tuna. Some of their habits, some of the colors that seem to work, and
this looks like a nasty duster when the hooks are attached to the back of that sucker.
Duster on an attitude, yeah. We'll talk about the colors, but I think more importantly, the design and the head application. We've got 2 or 3 different head applications, and the eye variation on all of these things that I use. Most everything has a 3-dimensional
yes, I noticed
eye,
that.
Either in conventional clear with a black pupil, or red. I've got a jig head here that seems to work pretty well. This is actually my second choice. I like the clear eye with the black pupil, but the red eyes emulate basically a wounded bait fish, and we'll talk about that as we go through. A couple things we need to go over. At the end of this hour, we're going to do roll call this week, and I want you to really put some thought into that. We've lost another Arizona soldier, as it turns out. And then we'll be talking to Ronnie Parker from Lake Fork Tackle. Boy, these are the innovators of soft plastics in the bass fishing world. Lake Fork Tackle is absolutely the most innovative whiz kids, scientists, if you will, of
fishology.
Yeah, when I met Ronnie Parker, it was interesting. We have robo worms and this worm and that worm and all these different soft plastic crawdads and a lot of clones. If somebody does something, it's America. Monkey see, monkey do. They can't come up with it all by themselves, so they copy somebody else, change a tail, change a leg, change a claw. Do something, but my point with LFT is they are the innovators by far, and man, they've gone from a mom and pop to a worldwide concern in a very short amount of time. But we're going to talk to Ronnie Parker, see what's up with that. We'll talk to Rick over at H&M Landing over there in the tackle shop, talk about the bluefins. James Guggenauer will have something to say on the Rim Country Fishing Report. And we've got an upcoming meeting on August 5th for the second They say the Tonto Basin Chamber of Commerce building, but I like to call it the
Pumpkin Center Bar.
Yeah, Pumpkin Center Roundtable, dude. We're going to talk about what Chief Cantrell's up to on the gizzard shad issue, the crappie issue, some proposed fishing regulations. Now, we'll get in that into a pretty deep channel next week. Chief Cantrell will be in studio to join us. So, basically having said that, I want to start off with Friday's dock count.
Don't. You're gonna make people cry.
This is what we wait for. I'll start with the day boats. They had 3 boats out, a total of 59 anglers. Their average fish per stick ratio was 1.98 fish per angler. They had a total of 84 bluefin tuna, 31 yellowtail, and 2 dorado. And I don't care who you are. You have a dorado, a yellowtail, and a bluefin in your bag, life is good.
Oh, yeah, you're going home happy.
Life is really good. Now, having said that, the day and a half dock total was 163 anglers on 6 boats. They had an average of 5.98 fish per stick. This is what I was telling you yesterday, man. Pack your sack, man. It's time. It is time.
Yeah.
Eddie, Jimmy, PC, load the boat. It's not going to get any better than it is right now.
The problem with this is that if we do that, we're going to commandeer the boat. We ain't coming back.
I have a plan.
I knew this was coming.
I have a logistical plan for
a 4-hour cruise.
If you start at H&M Landing on one of the long-range boats, you've got enough fuel to get down to the tip of Baja and back. Or just keep going. You can make the Panama Canal.
Ooh.
Woohoo! Yeah. Okay, here's what they caught. 538 bluefin.
Jeez.
Nice, okay.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more.
I figured.
402 yellowtail.
Really?
Up to 45, 48 pounds.
Oh.
And the bluefin were in this 50 to 70 pound range.
Wait a minute. Okay, if they're in the 50 to 75 pound and they caught how many? 500?
538.
500 times 50. That's a load of fish.
Yeah.
We can have sushi forever.
On top of that, there were 36 dorado. And the dorado basically come early morning, right at sunup, gray light. And they're an awesome fish to catch. They're kind of like acrobatic like a trout.
Oh.
They come up and they tail walk and dance and do somersaults.
There's nothing prettier than watching a big fish tail walk.
Yeah, man. Well, it's pretty interesting because at first you don't feel them. We're going to talk about some of the characteristics of these fish. These fish are fast.
Yeah, you were mentioning
that. They're speed freaks. And we've got, I'm going to be talking about some fins and some of their characteristics, but we have a albacore that...
albacore.
Yeah, albacore. Mac Tuna caught this, 1974 when he was 9 years old.
What's happened to you, Patrick?
This isn't a very big fish. You look at it and go, well, that's not so big. But when you're 9 years old...
Oh, it's huge.
You are pinned to the rail, squealing like a 9-year-old girl.
Yep.
Woo-hoo! Yeah.
Look at that fin size on that thing.
Yeah. Well,
you were mentioning it extends out and it's almost like a gliding device.
They're like wings. Yeah. Those pectoral fins are just truly amazing. I don't know another fish that really has that particular physical characteristic. The bluefins now are. They're a pelagic fish, and
don't go there. Pelagic.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Don't throw terms at me I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll explain that as we go through. Basically, the bluefins are like a bullet. Their makeup, their pectoral fins are, let's say, let's take a 50-pound fish. They're going to be about 6, maybe 7 inches long.
Pectoral fins?
Pectoral fins, yeah, the front fins. You have the pectoral fins, anal fins, tail fins. We're talking about finlets here, and you have a caudal keel on these fish. And,
okay, for ballast.
Yeah, well, the finlets, as we go through, are between this fin and their tail fin, and they're non-retractable. In other words, they're in a fixed position.
Finlets.
Finlets, yes, and they're on the top and the bottom of the tail, and then you can't really see it. Maybe if I turn it up this way, you've got a little
hump,
little wedge out here,
mm-hmm.
and those are called the caudal keel. So you have to understand these fish are blasted through the water. They'll cruise at 10 to 15 miles an hour.
Cruise at 10 to 15.
They'll have sustained speed from 30 to 45 miles an hour. And when they get in a hurry, they're running somewhere between 60 and 80
miles an hour.
These guys, I'm telling you.
That's when they've stayed out at the bar too late. They're trying to get home in time for Mom.
They're like bullets, yeah. So, you talk about, I've had a lot of discussion on how fast you troll, and you know what, if
you can't out troll 5
to 8 knots,
yeah.
Let's say, we think we're going fast,
right?
But when you talk about somebody running 60, 80 miles an hour to catch their dinner,
that's like slow motion to them.
Yeah, pretty much. So, anyway, getting back to pelagic is a fish that's found in open sea or relating to or living out in open waters as opposed to near the shore.
Oh.
So they're out there.
Kind of nomadic.
These are, and I'm glad you brought that up. We've got to flip in and thank some of our sponsors. By the way, Jeep is bringing back the Cherokee. Remember the little box Cherokee?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's always had one?
Yeah.
I've had a couple. They're coming back. Nice. All righty, we're going to slip into a break. Thanks to some of our sponsors and Safeguard Business Systems for, we don't have donuts. We don't have bagels.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. We'll be back.
Always a bad day of fishing beats a good day. Wake up in the morning.
Yeah, that's what we do. Way before daylight. All right. You can click on ShakeRattleAndTroll.com. You can go to the fishing section. Click on to HMLanding.com. They've got a daily fish count that's on there. We talked about Friday. Yesterday, the one-day dock total for 11 boats, 237 anglers, 234 bluefin, 213 yellowtail, and a Dorado. That's a good day, Tater. It gets better. The day and a half boats, they had only 2 boats out, 39 anglers, 168 bluefin, 19 yellowtail, 6 Dorado.
We just gotta go.
Bam, bam, bam.
Day and a half.
Yeah.
Does that mean I actually have to sleep on the boat?
You don't have to. I'd highly recommend it. You get a lot of rest on the boat. You're busy, but while the boat's making travel, here's what happens. You get into the landing, you get signed up.
Right. Okay.
We've talked about that. You go in and pay your tab, you get your Mexican permit, check in on the boat. In the galley, you'll find a deckhand to welcome you aboard. You sign the manifesto. You get a number, and you're going to spend probably, you have 4 rods to make up. I brought some rods in today, a trolling rod, and you don't have to take a trolling rod. The boat has their own stuff.
Right.
Okay.
They're decent quality?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. These are tools. They have the best of the best. Absolutely.
So why are you taking your tools when you could use their tools?
Well, I like my tools. I know what it's going to do, and you pay your money and you take your chances, like Popeye says. And if I'm going to lose a fish, I want to lose. If I have a rental rod or a boat rod and I lose a fish, I'm going to snap. I can't help it. I'm just going to go off. If I lose a fish with my own equipment,
Nobody be mad at but yourself.
I'm humble. We're going to take me down in the bunk room and
Woodshed.
back to the woodshed. So, yeah, I prefer my own stuff. I know what I've got, and so you start with a trolling rod, a couple of bait rods, and because I am a power fisherman, I will have something I can fling a bait with.
Oh, imagine that. You or I wanting to cast anything.
Yep. Lead head, 3/4 ounce lead head. So let's start off with the trolling rod. What I brought in today is a very old. This goes back to the 70s, but it's a pin senator, and it's one of the best reels on the market today.
Buying one of those. If I find one at a garage sale, snag it.
You can go to eBay, and you can get these things for under $100.
Okay.
Yeah, same thing. The new stuff on the market is they've got more ball bearings.
Mm-hmm.
They've got different ratios to choose from.
Gear ratios.
Yeah, they've got this and that and 14 other things. I like the pin senator. The other ones are $3 to $1,000.
Oh.
So back in the day, that was reel of choice. And I'm still reel of choice.
That is a stick.
That we bolt onto a roller guide rod. And I want to point out this doesn't have the conventional eyelet. It's got two roller guides that your line goes through all the way up on five different rollers. And this particular rod is a fiberglass.
I note the name Yellowtail on this rod.
Yellowtail 661. This goes back to pro staff days with Murado rods and reels. It's a good rod. It's 6'6". I've got another rod that's depending on what you're going after. If, we're talking about going after a 60-pound fish, 70 pound perhaps. But the thing you need to keep in the back of your head, there's some 100 and 150s mixed in that bunch.
On the bluefin?
Yeah. This time of year, the yellowfin are going to be sneaking in there. There may be a big eye in there with them, and you hook onto a big eye, you're going to swear you've got somebody's Volkswagen. And
as it takes off.
I'm serious. My largest big eye was 159 and some change. And
how long did it take you to land 159-pound tuna?
About an hour. Captain was pissed. We were making travel, heading for the dock, and that Mexican hat trolling jig. I threw it out there, and we had a fight. He didn't want to stop, so we put the screws to that fish, and there's no backing down on it. You stand at the rail and you just duke it out with these fishes. And there's some protective gear you can. A butt holder, a rod butt holder is an absolute must.
If you're fighting something that big.
The new ones, your rods have got a groove in the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you lock them in?
Yeah, they've got a rod and they snap in, so you pivot. I don't worry about a shoulder harness, although I brought one. You get in those anything over 70 pounds, you're gonna hurt yourself. Odds are, because here's the deal: the boat's rocking and rolling.
Right.
The decks are wet. There's fish slime all over the place. You're stepping on bait. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's about a 9 on an OSHA hazmat accident waiting to happen. You'll have 25 guys back there. Half of them will be hooked up. Half of those guys won't know what they're doing. Half of those guys, it'll be the first time, and they're squealing like a schoolgirl and Mac Tuna over here when he was 9. And
Mac Tuna.
Game's on.
Oh, yeah.
Game is absolutely on. So, it's just important you take all your stuff. We talked about that. This is 100-pound monofilament, and I've got 100-pound. Why don't you pass me that? Here, I'll just start with this one here. Trolling jigs.
That is a board with a hook in it.
Actually, it's like a piece of a broom handle. It's It's simply called a cedar plug. That's what it is. It's a piece of cedar with a hole through it.
And one nasty
lead head
butt hook.
Yeah, and a hook. These are 100-pound leaders that are tied onto here. And for the life of me,
why would a fish hit cedar?
The tackle manufacturers do a great job of building stuff that we think is cool looking.
Right.
And I don't care who you are, if you fish, you walk into Phoenix Fishing, Cabela's, or wherever, you walk in and go, man, that's neat. I got to have that. So you buy that. And when you start looking at the whole thing, you go back to basics. You need a worm and a bobber.
Yeah.
And you're done. Tuna fishing's no different. We've got a box of stuff over there, and this particular lure, the old cedar lure, again, this is a really old one. The brand new ones look exactly like it, and they'll hit this 9 out of 10 times. You have 6 rods out. You put that out there, you're going to get a bite. That is a good bet.
And this is called the Mexican hat?
No, pass me that box. Let me rifle through there. When we come back from break, we'll talk about fishing with feathers as opposed to streamers and Magnum 18s. Hey, I'm Don McDowell here with
John Colazar.
And Jennifer's doing a great job today. Mac Patrick over here, I don't know what he's doing. So, anyway, we'll be back. Yeah, get down. Alrighty, here we go. These are feathers. We call them feathers because guess what?
There are feathers on them.
Yeah, great big hooks. Okay,
those are serious hooks.
They do a job.
Those are like meat hooks.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to call these trolling feathers, trolling jigs, or just trollers. But what I want to point out are the various types of heads.
Heads and eyes.
Heads, eyes. You get into this has got a little bit of about a 38-degree bevel on the nose of it to throw bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of them, they're getting into the 3-dimensional match the hatch colors and profiles. This one is emulating actually a mahi or the ahi, not ahi tuna, a dorado with the color and the coloration on it. I like that would be my second choice. It's got a illumination strip in it with the 3-dimensional eyes, and they actually follow you around the room. Check those out. I'm not real fond of this one. I have it because I do. I haven't thrown this for a long time. But one of the most effective ones, now they've got another torpedo-shaped chrome. This is looks like somebody ground down a hex nut.
Exactly.
Exactly. Pretty effective. But when you get right down to it, if I had to choose one, and that's all you control with, I choose this one. This particular color, these aren't feathers, these are plastic streamers. The color is referred to as a Mexican hat. It's green, red, and gold. Got a little bit of white in it, not a lot. Got some gnarly looking eyes on it, but the head is blunt, and it's got 6 holes in it. It's a bubbler.
Yeah, the water runs in through those holes, obviously.
Bubbler jet. Yeah, you'll troll these behind a boat in a certain pattern. Most of the time, they're going down with these guys, or pretty conventional, very effective chrome bullet.
Looks like a bullet.
Yeah, absolutely. Do a good job. We've bet money on this one. I've had this one back in this particular lure back in the Atlantic, fishing for the boxcar size tuna. And I say the boxcar. There's 3 types of bluefin. You have the Atlantic bluefin, the Northern Hemisphere Pacific bluefin, and the Southern Hemisphere Pacific bluefin.
What's the biggest?
By far, the Atlantic. When you get down into the Southern Hemisphere, they're bigger, reaching 1,500 pounds.
Excuse me?
Yeah, over on the Atlantic. And
1,500-pound tuna.
1,500 pounds, yeah. You'll see over on the Atlantic seaboard, these things being caught on a regular basis, 500 to 800 pounds. You know, and they're selling for $500,000 over in the Orient.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a case here. A guy caught a fish of a lifetime. You know, it was in the 800-pound class, but they caught it in a net. The captain, the boat owner, has a number of boats, and he's been buying all of the required permits.
Sure.
That don't delineate whether you have to catch that fish by rod reel or in a net. Well, they got to the dock, and commercial fish dock. The FDA fish people were there, and they asked the captain, which wasn't the owner, how he caught it. He said, well, I caught it in a net. They took the fish away from him. It was a $400,000 to $500,000 fish. And,
why?
Because he caught it in a net and didn't catch it by rod and reel. And again, this is going to litigate.
Oh, I'm sure 400. Yeah.
Yeah, you think?
Absolutely.
You know, it's pretty interesting. Over on the Pacific side, these fish will run from the west coast as far up as Seattle, as far down as the Baja tip. And what they do is they cross-cut the Pacific from our side over to almost directly right in the middle of Tokyo. And if you're a sushi fish, that's a bad place to be.
Oh, real bad place to be.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You get outside of our border waters, look out.
A few years ago, there was a bluefin tagged. They affectionately named this particular fish Terry the tuna. In over 600 days, this tuna had crossed the Pacific Ocean 3 times.
How many days?
Over 600 days.
600 days. So basically in 2 years.
He traveled 24,850 miles, plus or minus a few.
24,000 miles, so it's 12,000 miles a year, so it's 1,000 miles a month. That's some serious swim
these
time.
are serious fish. And I don't believe that we have home guard tuna. You know, you hear me talk about home guard yellowtail. In the La Jolla Trench, those are the fish that just kind of hang around and don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
The rest of them migrate in and out.
Right.
That's what happens. These guys, they come in, they run up and down the coast, follow the current, and then bam, they're out of here. And you start watching the current is directly affected by the jet stream and in a number of atmospheric conditions, El Nino, La Nina. Yeah, all that stuff. So
does the current? I mean, the current obviously. Is there a consistent current pattern? I don't know oceanography.
No, the only consistency is it's not consistent.
Okay, so
they swing in, they swing out. The various temperature range. These guys like 64-degree water.
So wherever that is, they are there.
So what your boat captain's going to do? They're going to have they're talking back and forth, so they have an idea. It's like bass anglers at the dock. Everybody's got to have something to say.
Right.
But their dock talk is more factual, more truthful than what you'll hear at Roosevelt from the bass anglers.
You guys lie to each other.
Yes, liar, liar, pants on fire, basically.
That's tourney fishing, and I understand that.
And I don't get it. You don't want a guy on your spot, okay? But whether you caught it on a white crankbait or a jig or whatever it is, he can't go duplicate that fish because tomorrow, guess what?
They won't be biting.
It's going to be, the weather, the moon, the hair on your knuckles, whatever it is.
Don't talk about my fingers that way.
It's going to change in a 24-hour period. So that particular pattern, that bite may or may not be there. Odds are it's not going to be there. The tuna guys, they talk. They're on fish. Everybody needs to catch fish. That's how they make their living. You're talking about, $500,000 boats, $1 million boats, $1.5 million boats. You have to catch fish. So,
that's amazing. These little suckers will go 60 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah. And the bluefins are, endothermic, which basically means they're a warm-blooded fish with the ability to maintain constant body temperature when their environment changes. So if let's say you're keeping your body at 50 degrees, you can do that when the water gets 40 degrees.
Or 80 degrees.
Or 80, whatever it is, yeah. So it's, it's an interesting fish when you start really studying who they are and what they do. Some of the all-tackle records recently have been broken of our Pacific bluefin off the New Zealand coast. IGFA current record for a Pacific bluefin, and this is of the southern variety, 716 pounds and 8 ounces.
Now, would that go to Japan as a saleable item?
That'll be caught on a sport boat. You don't have a commercial license. You're not going to sell that fish.
Oh, well then fine. Then I eat for a year. As
a rule, scale of 1 to 10, I'd have that fish down at the fish market over the fish house
in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Depending on the boat you're on, some boats do have. They've got their sport charter ability and license.
Right.
One of the boats I crewed on for 16 months straight at one point in my life, we had a commercial fishing license as well. So, and that was the Blue Horizon. We did sport fish. We did after the sport fish went away, we converted to dive. Ran dive charters, and when it got too cold for the divers to come, we converted to commercial fish and went up the coast to Morro Bay, and I'm never going back to Morro Bay. Never.
Is that the one I saw where all the cross chops? Currents and everything?
It's some of the nastiest tidal waters on the
face of the earth.
Left coast. On a good day, it's a nightmare. We got into albacore up there late in the season, had a storm, got real bumpy. We're making deals with God we couldn't keep just to get back to the beach.
Yeah.
And we got back. We had a few fish, but we had some real beat-up crew, and we all took a boat and go,
not again.
We're not going back. That boat's only 56 feet long, and it just absolutely
pounded it.
Thank God the boat was designed and built in Washington State. It's got what's called a rough water hull, deep V, exaggerated keel, and wow. If it had been anything less.
You've been underwater.
Yeah, it's a guy in a place called Davy Jones that's got a locker, man. It's a bad place to be if you're me. So, anyway, when we come back, we're going to follow this up, a little bit more discussion. We'll talk about swim baits and how to do those while you're out there, and move into roll call. Unfortunately, I'm Don McDowell.
Best kind of Niagara Falls.
Yeah. All righty, we're back. By the way, Niagara Falls is not a good place to fish. Moving along, again, I want to emphasize these bubbler jet heads are really hard to find. So if you do see them, pick them up. Put them in.
Can't you just make those?
John, I don't know how you would. You probably find something at Home Depot to goof around with, but nah.
No, that's true.
I wouldn't try it. Special order them. The other thing that works from time to time, and I've drugged this around Lake Pleasant, caught a striper on it. This is depending on how old you are,
Rapala.
Either a Rapala or a Rapala. We called them Rapala for years until Roland Martin said Rapala. And that particular color, black and purple, very, very good at early gray light. And as well, a couple of weeks ago we were talking about swim baits, and early morning, this black with a purple back
tint to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now this is the anchovy pattern that I was talking about. There's two variations.
Is that the thing I got to bite the head off of, right? The anchovies.
Well, you can just eat the head and swallow the whole thing. But
I'll pass on that momentarily.
I would do that with a mustard sauce.
Yeah, hot mustard sauce.
Absolutely wonderful. But this is the brown back, green belly. It's got a little blue stripe on the lateral line. If you can't get that one, get this one. Same size. These are the big boys, 5.5 inch.
Go big.
Yeah, get the green back, brown line, and a
Yellow belly.
Little bit of a yellow belly. Early morning, back to black and purple. Your 3/4 ounce lead head with the 3D eyes.
Red eye.
Red eye. Yep. This is real simple. You stick this down in the center of the swim bait head. Bring it through right about till it starts to
Pop
curve.
through.
Yeah, bring it down right through the center of the back.
And then up to the head.
Shove it up there.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, good to go. So you've got an exposed hook and
a red-headed, drunken anchovy going home.
The paddle tail, when these things, as soon as they hit the water, this thing's working for you.
Oh, yeah.
The paddle tail's swimming, and they're going, yeah, buddy. Now, when you're fishing a live bait, imagine this with the head. The anchovies get a bloody nose. They're in there in the bait tank being beat around by the waves and, sloshing back and forth. They get a bloody nose. Stay away from those. That's not the tuna's bait of choice that day. They'll hit it, but the odds are they want a fresh bait. So,
I mean, can they tell it's got a bloody nose?
At 60 miles an hour, yeah, absolutely. That's the only drawback fishing these red eyes. This was the last one in the box. It would be the last one I would use, and I would only buy it if they didn't have anything else. So,
Okay, when we're going fishing and H&M Landings takes us out, we're using their baits.
No, we're going to bring our own bait.
Okay.
You're going to use the live bait because once you leave the dock, you go out to Everham Brothers, the bait receiver, and they'll take 25, 30 scoops of bait.
And just dump them in.
Yeah, put it in the live well and or the bait tank, and away you go.
So now, you're for the average guy going over, you're taking your lures because you have them. And
because I can.
That's it.
I'm not a big fan. I fish live bait, but I would much prefer fishing my plastics. I'm proficient with my swim baits.
Gotcha.
Fishing on the slide. Yeah.
Fishing on the slide. That's where you're moving down the banister.
No, yeah. Fishing on the slide, you go to the port stern, the left-hand side of the back of the boat.
Oh, that's where you're casting out.
Yeah.
And then trolling behind
all
the
you're
boat.
doing, and I'm going to use this particular reel. This is boy, I'm really dating myself. Langley Dynamatic. I think they put those in 1952 Chevrolets.
Part of the transmission.
Yeah, but it's got a lever here for cast, which will free spool, and then
free spool.
Yeah, free spool.
Do you know what that is? That's a spaghetti factory waiting to happen for me throwing it out. Do you obviously ride your thumb on that so it doesn't do that?
Practice. Yeah. So when you slam it forward, you've got it in low gear, and then you'll do that for a little while just to get control of your fish. And when you've got his head up, you'll be able to feel it. If he's nose down, you got a war on your hands. He's mad.
He's heading away.
He does not want to come to the boat, but when you can feel when they start to turn, straighten his lips out very quickly. You don't want to be messing around with it. You get it stuck, and I've had this happen on this reel or another reel. You click it, and you think it's in high gear. Right. It's in free spool.
Oh no.
Woohoo! But you can feel the difference between low and high on that guy.
Now I've caught salmon in the Great Lakes, and nice. Salmon, 25 pounds salmon. It's taking Woo-hoo. When it hits, it's going the other way.
Oh yeah,
and it'll run off 200-300 yards of line. The tuna, because we're setting the drag so tight, will not.
Wrong.
They're going away.
They're going to burn it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, don't ever put your thumb on the reel. Keep your thumb off the reel. Keep your thumb off the reel. And you won't.
So I'm going to burn?
You're going to burn the tread right off your thumb. Absolutely. Yeah. Look at your thumb. Kiss it goodbye. I have very little tread on my thumb. You'll only do it once. That time. You'll do it once a fish till you go, yow. And away you go. Yeah. The cool part about the tuna, and I think they're probably one of the most highly sought after fun game fishes, you don't catch that fish one time. You'll catch him 3 times. You'll get into the boat, and you think, wow, okay, 20 minutes is gone. This guy just absolutely wore out. Yep, till he sees the boat. And then off he goes again, and he'll burn off another 100 yards line. You'll do that 3. You'll finally get him up close enough to the boat the 3rd time to get a gaff in him. Bam, head gaff. And tell your deckhand, no body gaff, eye gaff.
Eye gaff only, yeah.
They'll look at you.
You are not going to ruin my steaks.
Yeah, exactly. And then he'll have something to say about your mom's genetics. And
no, I'll have something to say about his manual dexterity.
Yeah.
He's on the boat. He's trained to do that. I want him gaffed through the head.
Yeah, exactly. So that covers that. But getting real quick back on the slide, you don't have to throw your bait. When that boat's moving, all you have to do is just drop it.
Over the side.
Yep, and let it do its job. Because when you're trolling, and just imagine the boat moving forward at, let's say, 5 knots, and somebody gets a trolling jig strike, they holler hookup. Mm-hmm. The captain immediately throws the wheel into a port turn, throttles back, not going to shut the motors off, puts it in neutral, and that boat's going into a slide this way. So it's making an arc.
A turn.
So, yeah, a turn. And if you're in the port stern and all you do is just drop your 3/4 or 1 ounce lead head down, it's right where, because those fish are coming. They're moving.
They're coming moving, at you.
3 times faster than that boat's moving. So you're going to have a bait right there before the guys that are out there. They're still going to be over here in the bait tank messing around trying to catch their bait. And get it on the hook, find a place on the rail, and bam, bam, bam. So, anyway, guys, we got to move into roll call. And before we read the names of the fallen soldiers this week, let me point out once again that our first soldier is from our home state of Arizona and marks the 146th resident soldier killed in action out of a total of 198 soldiers deployed from Arizona. This particular soldier, First Lieutenant Joam Russell, 25 years old, was killed Tuesday morning on a dismounted patrol in Wardak Province, Afghanistan, as part of an Operation Enduring Freedom. The lieutenant was born in Canada, raised in Cornville before attending ASU in 2008. He's survived by his parents, Gilbert and Sophia Russell, brothers and sisters Abigail, Naomi, Sarah, Nate, and Benjamin. DOD says there was a couple other soldiers killed in this incident from an IED. Sergeant Stephen M. Smith of Glenville, Georgia. Specialist Rob L. Nicholas, 24 years old, of Colorado Springs. John?
The same day, ASU Military Department of Military Science spokesman said Russell's awards and decorations included the Ranger Tab, Airborne Badge, Air Assault Badge, Combat Infantryman, etc. Next on our list is Army Specialist Anthony R. Maddox. Died July 22, 2013, serving during Operation Enduring Freedom. He was 22 years old, out of Port Arthur, Texas, assigned to the 10th Brigade Support Battalion, 1st Brigade Combat Team, 10th Mountain Division, out of Fort Drum, New York. He died at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center, Germany, of injuries that occurred in a non-combat incident in Andar, Afghanistan.
Shake, Rattle, and Troll, a show for the serious fishermen, as well as the novice looking for tips from the pros. Shake, Rattle, and Troll is brought to you by Bill Luke Dodge Chrysler Jeep. Now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman and tournament pro, Don McDowell.
All righty, hey, I'm still Don McDowell. This is the second hour of Shake, Rattle, and Troll, and hope you're learning something today. We're going to kind of change gears and get away from the salt side of life and go to downtown Texas with Ronnie Parker from Lake Fork Tackle. Now, in the first hour, we talked a little bit about Lake Fork Tackle. These guys are the innovators in soft plastics, LFT, Lake Fork Tackle Trophy Lures. Check them out online, lft.com. Ronnie Parker, good morning, my man. How are you?
I'm great, Don. How about yourself?
We're doing good today. We've got a lot of things to be thankful for, and a lot of continued blessings, and it's good. It's good to have you back on the show again. What's new back at Lake Fork?
Well, believe it or not, we're about to enter the dog days of summer, but I'll tell you what, the fish have been red hot here. Lots of double digits caught lately, and the temperature hasn't been ridiculously hot yet. We've had a little bit of rain, so we're getting so far a mild summer, and a lot of good fishing starting the Carolina rig. And this week alone, the last 2 weeks, I should say, there's been several 11s and quite a few over 10, and so it's getting to be fun. This time of year can get real seriously fun in terms of those deep Carolina rigging and crankbait and Texas rigging big bass. That's what we like to do down here in Texas. You guys do it year round, and we get about 11 months worth of it ourselves, so we really enjoy it.
Well, I want to throw some kudos out to Texas Parks and Wildlife this past couple of weeks. Our brand new fish chief, Chris Cantrell, at Arizona Game and Fish Department, have a symbiotic partnership with your Texas DNR. They're going to do some genetic testing for us on 10 of our lakes on largemouth, trying to figure out just exactly who we have living in our ponds, whether it's all Florida strain or a mix of Florida and northern strain bass. So they're going to, really help us out. And, man, Texas guys are really cool to work with.
Well, we're honored to have a terrific Texas Parks and Wildlife team. And they have a fishery, almost a museum, I would call it, but a fishery in Athens, which is only about 45 minutes away from Lake Fork. And they come pick up. We have a share lunker program that you're aware of, and in certain times of the year, basically from about December 15th or January 1st through the end of March. If anybody catches a fish of 13 pounds or bigger, they'll come get it and be here within an hour typically, put it in a tank, a holding tank, take it back to Athens, and give the angler a free replica. They'll keep the fish for 1 year until she spawns out, and then they'll bring the fish back to the angler and release it in the same spot where she was caught. And by doing that, they study the genetics and the DNA of the fish, if you will, and it's really helped the Texas fishing along with the catch and release program and the slots. So, we are honored to have a terrific state commitment to quality bass fishing and, for that matter, all fishing. So I'm glad to see there's some sharing of information from California and Texas, because I don't know of two better states, plus Florida. Those two states kind of lead the nation in big bass fishing, and we're proud of that here.
Absolutely. I'm looking at your website, lftlures.com. Check it out, guys. Aside from your 5-inch Hyper Freak and your Hyper Worm, have you got anything new to add to your arsenal of innovative soft plastics?
Don, we always are working on something new. We do have a couple of things working on for soft plastic. We brought on the Baby Shed program, which was originally designed for crappie, but a lot of guys are using that little 2 1/4-inch Baby Shed for drop shotting in some of these real clear lakes. And then, as you know from some high-res photographs I was thinking this week, we're about to, while our roots and our commitment is to soft plastic that we make right here in our facility in Texas, we're about to enter the hard bait world with some amazing new hard baits. If you'll let me in a moment, we'll talk about those, because they're really special, and they'll be here and be in a lot of the major fishing dealers across the country, including Tackle Warehouse and Bass Pro and hopefully Cabela's and some of the others, that are just really special at a really fair price. So we're gonna bring the hard baits, particularly the popper market, down to a cost that's affordable for the latest technology and the latest in color and hand painted colors too. So, but on the soft plastic side, we have our new boot tail that's been out now for several months. But the boot tail swim bait, which I think I sent you some, and if I didn't, I'll send you some tomorrow, Monday morning.
Yeah, please do that. Yeah.
It's a 3.5-inch boot tail swim bait. and a 4.5-inch bluetail swim bait. And we got 3 new colors of the colors that we make it in. 3 of them are brand new colors. We have an IU Japanese shad color. We have a baby bass color. And then we have a green gizzard shad color to supplement the original colors we've always had in our live magic shad series. So we now have the magic shad series for bass fishing in 2 different tails and in 4 different lengths. And again, I'll send you some samples, and you can do with them what you will. And it's just been one of the hottest things we've ever come out with. We in the South, particularly the Southwest, we are well known as one of the leaders in soft plastic swim baits.
Absolutely, you are. Ronnie, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
You know, we've been talking about, we've got a tremendous bluefin and yellowfin, yellowtail bite off the left coast over here. Has anybody thrown these in the saltwater application?
You know, it's funny you asked me that. You guys have an angler. I don't have anybody in California, but I do have somebody in Boca Grande, Florida, who is a well-known FLW angler for 20-something years, and he guides for tarpon and a lot of things. He both fly rod and bass equipment, and he's starting to throw them. I met him on one of our TV show filmings down in Belize a few months ago. His name is Sandy Melvin, and he's been throwing the smaller live magic shad and boot-tail magic shad down there with some success. And then we've got some guys down on the Texas and Louisiana coast. They're starting to throw them for, you know, the southern version, the redfish and the trout and the speckled trout and those kinds of things. And then when we were in Belize, believe it or not, we caught one of our pros, Tom Reddington, the host of the Big Bass Battle, was throwing I believe it was a 4.5-inch boot, either a 3.5 or 4.5-inch bluetail. And he proceeded to catch a 39-inch tarpon. So, not tarpon. I apologize. It was. Let me think for a minute. It was a snook, a 39-inch snook.
Wow.
It gave him a lot of airtime and a lot of TV time. That snook got famous in a hurry, and it just shows if you make a good soft plastic bait that really imitates some kind of a bait fish. It doesn't matter if you're in Belize or off the coast somewhere or in fresh water, they'll hit it because it looks real. You know, the whole key is the action and the colors, and so the boot-tail is different because it swims really good at slow speeds. You can slow it down, and it'll still wag that tail, particularly on either any kind of a trolling or a casting technique. It's really outstanding.
All right, well, we've got a little trip scheduled over to the left coast out H&M Landing, downtown San Diego and Point Loma next week. I would be, you know, we just got through talking about fishing the 5.5-inch replaceable bodies on a 3/4 and 1 ounce jig head. I'd be real curious to see how effective these are, and I can't imagine they wouldn't be anything but a killer bait, just brutal on the yellowfin and the bluefin.
Well, tomorrow morning when I mail out these hard bait samples to you, I've got a few of those I want you to have. But I'm going to send you some boot-tails in the sizes you talked about, and a 5.5-inch live magic shad as well. And you tell me, it's just not my expertise to fish saltwater a whole lot, but you do, and I'll certainly put some samples in there for you. I'll put enough for you to test them out as much as you want. You just kind of tell me the colors you want, and I color palette, and I'll be happy to send you some on me for you to test for me.
Roger that. I will, in return, I'll send you back some colors that we use out here most effectively. They're
the anchovy look.
Yeah. There's a couple of different anchovy patterns.
Okay.
And green and brown, basically, with a white belly. Yeah, but you know, that's a lot of guys are throwing swim baits over there, fishing them on the slide, and we'll shoot you an email and tell you how we do that. And I've got some stuff rigged up that freshwater bait, like a fluke, standard fluke.
I have my own version. Of that kind of bait. I have had it for about 10 years, and it's outstanding. It's got a nice tail instead of a split tail. It's more of it's a solid tail that's flat. That's got a different shape to it, and it keeps it horizontal, I think, and really gives it a nice action. I got guys fishing that original magic shed that I just described that does not have slots. I had a guy catch a fish over 10 pounds. Believe it or not, they wore out the bass about 2 weeks ago, putting it on a wobble head or a biffle bug head. You know, and I know you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And every time they'd slow roll that thing on the bottom or give it a hop and bring it down, that little magic shed would stand up on its nose like it's down the bottom, feeding off of something, and it just. And I never had a customer tell me he used that bait on a biffle head until that day. But for 2 days, they were from some Midwestern states. For 2 days, they created a new use of that bait that was amazingly successful.
Bam. Nice.
Yes.
All right, let's talk a little bit about lizards. You know, this is you mentioned dog days of summer. We have it. We only have 2 seasons out here, big summer and little summer. And big summer, you have a tendency to use a Carolina rig using, a lot of guys are going to dragging, something like your magic shad, more prominently the lizard.
Yes. And what we have our hyper series of lizards that has just been very, very successful for us for 2 or 3 years now. We have a 6-inch version. It has segments, or if you will, hyper slots that allow it to really have a lot of action. The 6-inch version is most commonly used for either Texas rigging in the springtime or for Carolina rigging. And I think you know this, but here in Texas, there's a lot of Carolina rigging that goes on starting around May 15th up until late November, because the fish, as you know, go deep and they get in the thermocline or get down there and avoid that warmer water on top. And Carolina rigging is that and deep jigs like football jigs or some type of technique that keeps the lure closer to the bottom for a long period of time. And it is proven very successful.
Okay, Ronnie, can you stay with us through the break? We've got a stand down. Thanks some of our sponsors, including Lake Fork Tackle, LFTlures.com. Check them out. I'm Don McDowell with
John Colazar.
And we'll be back more with Ronnie Parker.
See a woman and a kid, darling.
All righty, we're back talking to our good friend Ronnie Parker from Lake Fork Trophy Lures. Ronnie, I need to ask you, you've got a swim and shrimp in your arsenal of soft plastics, real similar to the live magic shad technology. How does that thing working down in your neighborhood? These guys just got to be slamming redfish and some of the offshores.
Well, that's exactly where we've gotten some traction for it. Unfortunately, we're inland, 8 or 9 hours of driving time, and so. But we have a few boat captains in saltwater that are trying it, and I tell you what, I'll send you some of those as well. It's an outstanding little 3.5-inch shrimp, and it's very realistic. We have it in the 6 or 7 top saltwater colors in this area, including the root beers and new pennies and opening night, closing night, chartreuse glow, and it's been successful. We just don't have a lot of saltwater fishing near us, so we have to rely on the guys in Florida and Louisiana and the Texas coast, but we're getting there with it. It's just we have been probably delinquent in trying to push that bait harder, but we know it's successful. We just got to get the word out and get a little more pro support behind it, and it's a great bait. So I'll make sure I include some of the swim and shrimp in the arsenal, and it has the same type of wag with a shrimp body and the tentacle, the 2 little I guess you call them tentacles on the head, but.
Actually out here in Arizona, we call those whiskers.
Whiskers, yeah.
Whiskers, there you go, whiskers.
Yeah. Hey, Ronnie, got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Where did you come up with the name Electric Chicken?
Well, we didn't come up with that name. Believe it or not, that name was born in South Louisiana by some Cajuns years ago.
Okay, that explains it.
And I've asked that question many times, never having gotten a good answer. I just go with the flow. So somewhere down the road, they named it Electric Chicken. So exactly. Hey, I do have some new colors coming out and some things though, and you know what? Stay tuned, and I'll send you guys some samples of some new colors that are really good in both the shrimp are what I said they were. They're about 6 or 7 colors. I'll send you some of each. And I'm going to let you guys be the field testers in California to see what you can get done in saltwater out there for me, okay?
You got it, man. There'll be a film on these guys. I can't help but think, fishing these things on the slide, we're going to have to kind of change up the way the heads on your bait are built. We'll probably end up fishing those with a 3/4 or 1 ounce bullet weight and a heavy wire Daiichi hook is
right. Those are great hooks.
Yeah,
those
they are.
Sharp hooks. Yeah. No, lots of people do that here, particularly Carolina rigging. We use the Carolina with a 3/4 or 1 ounce bullet weight, sometimes a little bit heavier to keep that bait down there with a long leader, a 4, 4.5, 5 foot leader to get that thing up off the bottom, give it a lot of action. Even the ring fry, even the old standby ring fry and baby ring fry this time of year, believe it or not, in a chartreuse pepper color down deep is really the ticket for these big bass. And so I'm going to make sure I send you a little smorgasbord of various lures that we use this time of year in colors that you will describe to me to make sure I'm getting the color palette right.
Right.
And I'm anxious to get back some photos and some feedback on that California saltwater. I know the freshwater fish will nail them because, I've got too many pictures that have been sent to me from anglers. I even had a guy send me a halibut picture from California, from the San Diego area, maybe 2 years ago. It was caught on one of our lures, which just blew me away. It looks like a huge flounder to me, so it shows you what little I know about the fish out there.
Well, it's the same fish. It's like the Atlantic coast and the left coast. Same fish, different name. Y'all call it, they call it a flounder. We call it a halibut.
Gotcha. Well, one more thing, Don, real quickly. It's important that I say this to you because I've got a lot of respect for what you do for the wounded warriors and the veterans returning home from war. And I know how much time and effort and even money you put into it. And from time to time, we've sent you some samples for those programs. And I want to tell you, personally and for Lake Fork Trophy Lures, we really appreciate your commitment to those soldiers. And God bless them all. And some of them write the big check and don't get to come home. And I'll tell you, it's one of our favorite charities. And, we sponsor 2 of those types, actually 3 of those types of groups that we have strong feelings about. So personally, I want to thank you for your efforts in those arenas, as well as your efforts for kids as well, okay?
Ronnie, thank you very much, brother. We think it's important. We just did roll call before you came on. We've lost our 146th Arizona resident soldier, and the thing that stuns me is, every week when we do roll call, I kind of wonder where's our community, the state, the country, and the balance of our citizenry in support of these soldiers
Thank you.
And their family. We just lost, tragically, 19 forest fighters up in Prescott area, and rightly so. They're still having benefit charity concerts, car shows, all kinds of fundraisers, and as I see it, everybody just seems to ignore or have forgotten that these guys are our national first responders. And the thing that occurs to me, the price of freedom carries the same price tag as putting out a forest fire.
Absolutely.
And wow.
Ronnie, we do get, I think society gets numbed by the numbers that are out there, but if we looked every week like Don and I do and go over and read and see these faces every week, these faces need to be in the public's eye every week.
I could not agree more. In our shop and even online, we give a discount to not just active duty military, but to retired military, to all service people, whether they be policemen, firemen, and we got a sign posted on the wall behind our front desk saying that. And I'm always amazed and appreciative for the ones who come in, and they'll always reach for their wallet to show me their ID. I said, don't waste your time. If you tell me that that's what you do, I don't need to see your ID. You're a true hero. And so I'm proud of that, and I couldn't agree more, whether they be firemen, policemen, even school teachers. There are a lot of what I call basically servant leaders is what they are.
Yes.
And that term was coined about 20 years ago. It's when I first heard it. And it may not mean something to everybody, but if they do a little bit of research on that term, servant leaders, whether they're firemen or policemen or military, those people deserve a special place in our recognition and in our hearts. And you lead that, Don. I appreciate it.
Well stated, Ronnie. God bless you, and thanks for playing along. I'll shoot you an email tonight or first thing Monday morning, and we'll have a film on the magic shad and the shrimp slamming tuna fish.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Don and John. Thank you.
All righty. Ronnie Parker, LFTlures.com. Check them out. If you're military, let them know. They'll give you a discount. Nice. We'll be back after a short break with
John Colazar.
Woohoo! All righty, we're back. I'm Don McDowell filling in for James Guggenauer.
James, how is the weather up there?
Well, we're going to have to fill it.
Oh, yeah. I'll be Don, you be James.
Okay. Here's what he's doing. He's heading up to the Dunkerby Lodge in Canada for a fishing trip. He's gone all week.
And he's not back yet?
No, he won't be back until the 4th. So.
Well, I guarantee you it's a lot cooler in Payson.
It's a hell of a lot cooler in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so.
What's the fishing report for the Mother Lake?
The Mother Lake bass fishing on Roosevelt this past week, Jim would say, was called good by local anglers. The largemouth are in a summer pattern. They're talking about a good topwater bite early morning and around sunset until about midnight.
Wow.
Due to the runoff from all the rain, the lake remains constant this past week at 46% full, or more than half empty.
Depends on if you're the optimist viewpoint.
Yeah, I'm telling you. The salt river's flowing at 730 cubic feet per second, which is almost 200% more than its normal flow. The Tunnel Creek's flowing at 250, which is 1,200%, James says, of its normal flow this time of year. So the only thing I would add to this is be extremely, extremely careful. These weather patterns this past week, I would say that the bulk of the weather that we had was not predicted.
No, it was not.
You know, this stuff's blowing up out of nowhere and crazy stuff. But as we've been talking, and Ronnie Parker kind of reiterated pretty much what the bite is over there. Carolina rigs, lizards, good bet, and a watermelon with a black fleck. Drop shot using a 6-inch worm. Texas rig and jigs are also working, and most of these guys are working main lake points and ledges and drop-offs. Jim says, Goose Flats has got it's a big flat.
Right.
And that comes out, and it kind of flares up. There's a little ridge, and then it drops down into the main channel. That's a good place to fish, along with Connor's Ledge. Spoons are working on suspended fish. The cripple herring, 30 to 40 feet of water, is always a good bet. Now, moving back into the crappie, these guys are catching, pretty good crappie. Again, they're using 4-pound test, the little fishy bait, right in the brush, and it's all good. Trout fishing up on the rim is excellent. Power baits, worms in a bobber, flies such as the woolly booger.
Woolly boogers.
Yep.
They're forever been up there.
Can't go wrong with a woolly booger. And let's see. That's about it. You just get out and go do what you normally would do. This time of year, is kind of weird because this is the time of year you can go fish your strength, and it's going to be productive. If you're a crankbait guy.
Oh yeah, you and I, the Type A personalities, we'd be going out just before dusk and we'd fish till midnight. Mm-hmm. Because we can do what we want to do, which is to cast and retrieve, cast and retrieve, cast and retrieve. Slack time, I'm sorry. If you have me doing drop shotting all day long, I'd kill myself.
I'd snap.
Yeah.
But, there are some other things, too, that's not on Jim's report. We'll talk about, the nighttime fishing's interesting. One of the things that I found most productive is an 1.5 ounce spinnerbait, black on black, blackhead, black skirt, black blades.
At night.
At night.
Full moon or no moon?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter?
Mm-mm. No, because that thing's going to be down there banging and clanking around, bouncing off rocks and trees and stuff. Same thing, DD-22s. Black DD-22s are hard to find, but they have the stuff in a can.
It's called spray paint.
Yep.
Yep.
Or Chris Carlson, or, there's a number of guys out there doing airbrushing on crankbaits. But DD-22s, sometimes you can get them way down there. It's not uncommon to put on about a 2-foot leader with a 3/4 ounce weight on them.
Oh, and a DD-22.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how deep you're going to be?
Hopefully down around the 25-foot mark. And,
wow.
We've talked about, Jim and I kind of kicked this around the other day, is Carolina rigging a floating crankbait on about a 3-foot leader.
Oh.
Okay, because on a Carolina rig, you've got your weights on the bottom.
Right.
And you got this floater on a 3-foot
leader up.
tail.
Right.
And you're just kind of bumping it along, and it's
shimmying as it goes following.
It'll dive down a little bit, float back up, pull it along, and you actually you can feel the crankbait. The one that's really hard to find is the big old type that back in the day.
I know the name, the Big O.
Yeah, well, they're just a big old fat crankbait.
Yep.
DD-22 that floats.
Yeah.
It's a floater. It doesn't have the weights, doesn't suspend, doesn't have neutral buoyancy. So, but anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that.
James is in Canada enjoying life. Yeah, I know what he's doing up there. You know it too.
Oh yeah, salmon, fish, and halibut on the river inlets, and we've had Sid K, that is the owner operator of the Dunkerby Lodge, on the air with us. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So the only other thing I would add, again, we've got the quagga mussel, the AIS issues. The clean, drain, and dry protocols are being highly scrutinized.
No, they're not. We need to make them happen.
Well, we're looking at the clean, drain, and dry protocol needs to be done by responsible boaters. And anybody that's got a boat, when you leave the lake, I don't care what lake you're on, you need to drain your boat, clean the boat, dry the boat, pour some bleach in the live wells, drain your...
How long does the bleach last in the live well after you do that when you slosh it through? Do you know?
It's in, it's out, it's gone, it dries, evaporates, doesn't leave a residue.
That was my key. There's no residue.
One of the things that works really well is, a household name is 409.
Oh, all right.
409, Chevrolet used to have a 409 cubic inch big.
I remember that.
Big old motor, but, the 409 in the live wells, clean it out, and we've got a big deal going on right now at Lake Powell. The quagga mussels have been discovered in Lake Powell. Surprise, surprise. So that's Powell, down the Colorado River, into Meade, into Mojave, down the river, into Havasu, down the river, Martinez, Mitri, and whatever else dribbles down into Mexico. So,
there it goes.
Okay. Colorado River feeds the Central Arizona Project Canal all the way to Pleasant. It's dumped and terminates at Tucson.
Everything should terminate in Tucson.
Exactly. I'm going to let that pass.
Yeah, we know the home of the CBD.
And, some of the work that's going on is going to be reemphasized August the 1st. We'll have a report on this. The Central Arizona Quagga team is going to meet at Salt River Project. And Salt River Project's actually one of the leaders in quagga research. Going to find out what they're doing exactly as opposed to last year. Hopefully all the LE agencies will be there looking at enforcement.
Now there's a unique term, enforcement.
Thank you, John.
I've never seen any enforcement for violation of clean and dry.
Talked to Kenny Dinkwell, and there is enforcement efforts on the Colorado River, Lake Pleasant, but I think we need to be looking at it personally over Gila County. Gila County's a problem. They're enforcing their own agenda in and around Roosevelt Lake. They're not paying attention to the clean drain and dry protocols.
However, if you're banging a lead jig off of somebody's boat, you're going to get hammered.
Yeah, you're going to, and I don't have a problem with that. We shouldn't be fishing on in the docks anyway. How would you feel? Let's just say
my Prius was parked.
Yeah, you got your Prius parked. So let's say you got a $40,000+ boat parked in a slip, and here I come. Sometimes I don't always hit what I'm throwing at. Sometimes I'll,
chunk it over.
Let's say I'm using a 1-ounce jig. Bam, off your fiberglass. There's a little ding here, a little ding there. And,
I understand that,
okay,
but
you get that part.
Yeah, but not where the fact that you can't come in within the realm of the tires.
Well, that's being relooked at. We're going to have an update on the first. As far as I know, the folks from Tonto National Forest. Kelly Jardine, the district ranger from Tonto Basin, has been asked to come down and visit with us. And there's been some revisions from what I understand. The letter of decision to privatize and restrict public access to the docks at Roosevelt Lake Marina has been rescinded.
And this meeting's August the 5th?
August 5th, yes.
Fortunately, we had a call where I was supposed to be up at the Grand Canyon with Senator McCain, but that's been backed off, so we'll see where we go.
Yeah, nice. Well, I've got an extra seat in the Dodge. All righty, we're going to thank some of our sponsors one more time, come back, get this thing wrapped up, and call it a show. I'm Don McDowell.
John Colazar.
Think about the price of freedom.
Thought of somebody else rubbing her back just kills me.
You know, that particular song's talking about fast boats.
I never pay attention to the lyrics, but sure the sound is awesome.
Yeah, it's a fast boat, man. You know, John, we were talking about this Penn Senator. This one I have right here is a 114H. Looking at eBay, 113H, which is a 4-aught. Real summer, $80, and it's got 26 bids on it.
Oh,
so there's a shootout. So
somebody wants it.
Just service pin 114H Senators. This is a 6-aught reel, $94.95, and you can buy it now. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. And you go down to Phoenix Fishing and look at a Shimano or a Abbott modern day reel. It's like buying a head for your Prius.
Oh, don't go there. Do not say that today.
It's a big deal. Okay.
All right, what's the drill for San Diego?
Okay, the drill for San Diego. One thing we didn't talk about was I brought in a fighting harness, and if you're into these big fish, and you're looking at a ratio of 6 fish per stick, it wouldn't be a bad idea, especially on your trolling rig. You've got to horse that fish in, get it in. It's not coming off. Rarely do you lose a jig fish or a trolling
head,
trolling fish, just because they've got 2 big hooks in their face.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They're coming to the boat. You got 100-pound test. You got 150-pound leader, and the way this reel is designed, that's what these 2 holes are for. On the new style fighting harness, the straps come off the waist, as opposed to the old style that came off the top of the shoulders, which put all the stress and strain on the top of your back.
Yeah,
this way you actually get to stuff your rod in the butt holder, hook your reel in,
and pulls you around and down,
and then you're leaning back, letting the rod do its job for you. So
Patrick's got some nice pictures up here on the internet of the offshore stand-up fighting belt, shoulder, back, and back harness.
Nice. The other thing I would highly recommend, we talked about tools, is these wraps. These are stainless steel needle nose pliers. The upside of these, it's got a fairly sharp cutting surface for popping lines. And you can't always depend on that if you got to cut a line.
Oh.
Diagonal side cutters. And I recommend these poly wraps or women in comfortable shoes. Don't make me go there.
No. All right.
These are absolute must, because there's nothing worse than standing there trying to figure out how in the hell am I going to pop 80-pound line I can't find. And always, most all the anglers have a pair of toenail clippers, fingernail clippers.
They ain't going to work on 100-pound.
Yeah, you can't find them. You get in the throw of a fight. I like these because they've got the pocket click on it, on the holder. Jam them right in your pocket.
And they're there forever.
Yeah, absolutely. You put them in your pocket before you walk on the boat. Take them off, throw them in the truck when you walk off the boat.
I haven't seen you use anything that's small. Those are monsters.
The tuna fishing offshore, you use big stuff there, except for your baits. I'm real serious. I think the magic shad. I've caught yellowtail on spinner baits, fat bass custom spinner blades.
Really?
Absolutely. Throwing them right under a patty, like a 1 ounce,
yep.
And just letting it sink down because it's got the blades on it, double blades.
Yep, they're rolling.
Blades. They're down there, and bam, boy, you talk about a heck of a fight. I mean, game's on. But, you're using 40-pound plus 30, fishing yellowtail, 30, 40-pound monofilament.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a real big proponent of braid, simply because when you have that kind of tension on the end of the line, the braid has a tendency to cut into itself on the reel, whereas the monofilament, in other words, you can pull on this. The monofilament is going to stay where it is. The braid is going to cut itself and weasel itself down and head for the spool shaft.
Say that again.
The braid will cut into itself.
Oh, okay. As it's laying there, the tightening of it?
Yeah, the harder you pull
it,
yeah, the tighter it's going to get, and that's the only drawback. Yellowtail, I don't worry too much about it. Use 80-pound test with 30-pound fluorocarbon leader with a swim bait, if at all. Generally, you start off that way, all sophisticated with all these knots and rigs, and you get in the heat of the battle, and you find yourself trying to bite through the line and tie something directly to it, and forget about the leader. Let's go, because tuna fishing's like hours and hours of boredom.
And then mad chaos.
And then, an hour of mad, yeah. The bite might last 15, 20 minutes. You have 25 guys on the boat. It's not uncommon to have everybody hooked up. Bam.
Okay, I've got a question. Fish are going like crazy. Everybody's hooked up. How in the world do you get them all in?
That's where your experience level comes in.
My fish is gone.
Not necessarily. The deckhands are going to be there with you, and I highly recommend that. Go up, introduce yourself to the deckhands, and tell them, hey, this is my first time. Will you watch my back?
I don't know Jack.
Yep.
Please help.
Buy him a beer. Give him a $10 tip. Just say, hey, just stay with me on this, and slap me if I'm doing something wrong, especially after they've told you.
You just want people to hit me, don't you? Yeah. No, don't go there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I know. Diamond net.
So it's just a matter of following your line, and I can't emphasize enough. Stay in front of your line, because that boat's going to be drifting, and you got a fish that weighs 60 pounds, 25 to 60 pounds, and he doesn't want to come to the boat. Man, they're all over the place, and that's where the choreography of over, under, around, and through really pays off, and your deckhand's going to guide you. He's going to say, John, move to your left. You got to go under this guy. And he goes, I try to be polite on the boat, and I'll tell the guy.
You do not.
I do. I'll tell him, I said,
one time.
I'm going through. I'm going over. I'm going under. And if he doesn't move.
You're running him over.
That's what these elbows are for.
Oh. Full contact, deep water fishing.
It is. Exactly. That's what it turns into, because I've played the nice guy too many times. I've lost too many fish. Lost the last one. I'm going over. I'm going under.
Patrick,
bingo.
I'm going to be at the opposite end of the boat of your brother.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Just stay on the right side of him. He moves to the left.
Oh, okay. That's it. That's his favorite move, is to the left. Okay,
yep,
so I'll
shuffle.
be on your right.
It's called the tuna shuffle.
The tuna shuffle.
Follow your line. Well, you being the two-step soft shoe master.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah. You ought to be able to do the tuna shuffle. All righty. That pretty much wraps it up. And unless you have any other questions relative to what we talked about, I'd like to be the guy that sits there in the scientific research office to name all these critters. It's
Well,
like
that was
being
it.
the writer for Hallmark.
Yeah.
Roses are reds and violets are blue. And
create words.
the scientific name is Thunus orientalis. Go figure.
I dated her. Thunus.
She's got her sister.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Not good.
So, anyway, now's the time. You can catch hmlanding.com. There's just a cadre of cool boats over there to go out on. And the bluefin are the most highly prized tuna on the Japanese sushi market. And
As well as on my sushi market.
yeah, absolutely. Albacore's really, really, really good. Bluefin's a little bit better. Yellowfin, I'm not going to turn any of it down.
No.
They're all fun to catch. But, with the associated fishing pressure, especially in the Atlantic and the southern hemisphere, our fish levels are at an all-time low. I mean, we're 15 to 20% of normal levels.
Fish supply?
Yeah.
Really?
The big giant bluefins are at risk. There's a lot of conservation efforts and stuff going on trying to...
Catch and release?
No, you don't catch and release them, but, catching the big mature fish. Listen, we're going to wrap this thing up. Hey, thanks for listening today. Check out the ShakeRattleAndTroll.com website. All this stuff will be posted up on the website. John, thanks for coming down.
Pleasure, Don, as always.
Mac Tuna, thanks for letting me borrow your
LB Core.
tuna fish today. You can't tune a piano, but you did a good
Tuna
job
fish.
tuna fishing. So, Jennifer, nice job. Hey, I'm Don McDowell.
John Colazar.
Take your kids fishing, hug a bass boat, and you know what? We lost another soldier. Think about that. We're out of here.
Some like to rock, some like to roll. Me and the boys like to shake